For your brother's wedding. You must give him your funds. My father Robert hid his face in his newspaper, avoiding the conflict as usual, while I sat at the kitchen table, my coffee going cold, looking at my mother in bewilderment as her icy words reverberated throughout our Charlotte house. What are you saying? I inquired, barely able to raise my voice above a murmur. Mom, they are my life savings, which I have accumulated over the years of hard labor. I'm Madison Walker, a financial advisor who helps people make wise financial decisions. And I never imagined that at 30 I'd be having this talk. The irony wasn't lost on me. Be reasonable, Madison, my mother Deborah remarked in that patronizing tone she had mastered over the years. Ethan's fiancée Rachel hails from a respected family. And he wants to have a destination wedding in the Bahamas. My father, who had always been submissive and allowed Mom to make all the family choices, turned another page of his newspaper. The Bennetts are known for their extravagant parties. We need to show them we're of the same caliber. I looked at him, begging for support in silence. I have saved more than $85. Mom, he would say, maintaining composure. It was easier that way. It's more than simply spare coins. It's my security, my future. She dismissively waved her hand. Ethan met someone, so what are you keeping it for? You don't even have a boyfriend, much less a fiancé. The familiar hurt of her comments struck hard. He deserves a beautiful wedding. Besides, Thomas and Patricia Bennett are contributing significantly to the celebration. We can't appear less generous. The tale was always the same. Ethan was worth more, needed more, and deserved more. I tightened my hold on my coffee mug, my knuckles whitened. I struggled to maintain my composure as I said, I can't believe you're asking this of me. Respect is more important than money alone. Do you ever consider what I deserve? My father said, lowering his newspaper at last. Deb, perhaps we shouldn't, he began, but Mom interrupted him with a stern look. Robert, don't get involved. Don't be selfish. Madison, she said, turning back to me with a hardened expression. Madison needs to understand her responsibility to this family. Family supports family. Or do you not care about your brother's happiness because you are too preoccupied with your own small world? Tears threatened to escape, and I felt my throat constricted. I wouldn't weep, though. I wouldn't shed a tear in their presence or in this place. My chair scraped the floor as I got to my feet. A loud sound in the strained quiet. I managed to answer. I need time to think about this. But on the inside, my mind was already racing with something totally different since I had just learned my mother's terrible secret, which neither my parents nor anybody else knew. The secret would destroy not only Ethan's ideal wedding but also the meticulously cultivated facades of both the Walker and Bennett families. I drove directly to work that morning, my mind reliving years of similar events. Ethan had always been the son our family revolved around as a child. My savings bonds were cashed to purchase him a new automobile when he smashed his first. And my college money was depleted to pay for his private school education. The rationale was always the same. Since Ethan began dating Rachel Bennett 6 months ago, the favoritism had only become worse. He needs this more than you do. Madison, the Bennetts were an old money family that had buildings named after them and held charity galas. Rachel's father, Thomas Bennett, held half of Charlotte's real estate projects. And his wife, Patricia, served as the chair of 3 separate charity boards. My mom was keen to show that we were part of their social group. Unable to concentrate, I idly browsed through client portfolios while seated at my desk at Morgan Stanley. I didn't miss the irony. While my own mother urged me to spend all of my money, here I was, giving advice to others on safeguarding theirs. Are you all right? Nina, one of my co-workers, came to my desk with a worried expression. You appear to have seen a ghost. I forced a flimsy smile. There was only family drama involved. For Ethan's wedding, my mother wants me to give him my funds. Nina's gaze expanded. Is this the same Ethan who never reimbursed you for the money he borrowed from you last year for his business venture? I remembered the unsuccessful food truck business that had cost me $15, and I nodded. My mother easily disregarded yet another sacrifice for the golden kid. Nina said nonchalantly, last weekend, I saw your mom at the country club. Thomas Bennett was lunching with her. They appeared to be amiable. I felt my gut tighten. I wish Nina realized how amiable they were. My mother's excitement for this wedding was much different from the text messages I had unintentionally found last week. She sent me messages explaining why she was so anxious to ensure everything was perfect. At my expense, I was sitting in my downtown Charlotte apartment that night, looking at my phone and the screenshots I had taken the previous week. Like neon indicators of treachery, the texts between Thomas Bennett and my mother flashed on the screen. I could still clearly recall that day. It had begun rather casually. Mom invited me to help her create the spreadsheet for the wedding guest list. With that honeyed voice she used to demand things, she had added, "Dear, you're so much better with Excel than I am." My father was at his weekly golf game, so it was just the two of us. While we worked, her phone was constantly vibrating with notifications. She first examined each one right away, but she appeared to become anxious after the fourth or fifth message. Another text message appeared as she excused herself to use the restroom. The preview drew my attention. "I'm already missing you." The sender's name shivered through me last night. Bennett. Thomas. I was aware I shouldn't gaze. I was aware that it was incorrect. However, I felt compelled to act based on a gut instinct. I opened the message thread with shaking fingers. When I discovered that, I became physically unwell. Messages for months. He holds private meetings at the country club. Meet at his downtown private office. He has meticulously planned the meeting around wedding preparation sessions and family get-togethers. Even before Ethan and Rachel became engaged, they had been having an affair. One of my mother's messages stated, "The wedding is perfect. Nobody is going to question us hanging out. Patricia is too preoccupied with her charitable endeavors to take notice." Thomas had said, "Robert's always at the golf course. We'll have even more reasons to get together when the kids are married." Every week, my father plays golf. Patricia Bennett is known for her charitable endeavors. They were exploiting these events as cover, not merely arranging their schedules around them. With trembling hands, I swiftly secured Mom's phone as soon as I heard her come back from the restroom. Without realizing that her meticulously planned world had just fallen apart in my sight, she walked back into the room with a grin on her face and eagerness for the wedding. Her demand for my funds now, a week later, made even more sense. She wanted to make sure her romance could go on under the pretense of family ties. Not only to win over the Bennetts. Ethan's and Rachel's happiness was not the main goal of the extravagant wedding. She sent me a fresh message, and my phone buzzed. "Have you decided what to do with the money? I need to know what to say regarding the wedding budget to the Bennetts during their engagement dinner next week." I took a long look at her message before I started typing. "Mom, you're correct. Family supports family. I will." She responded right away. "I knew you would choose wisely. This wedding must be flawless." Excellent. If only she were aware of what I had in store for her ideal wedding. The Bennett estate was located in Charlotte's most exclusive suburb, Myers Park, and covered 3 acres. Anxiety and resolve made my stomach turn as I drew up to the iron gates for the engagement dinner. I carried my checkbook in my handbag to demonstrate a point rather than to offer them my funds. The estate's enormous entryway was already bustling with visitors when I arrived. While waiters hurried through the crowd carrying champagne, crystal chandeliers glistened above. Unaware of her husband's treachery, Patricia Bennett stood welcoming visitors, looking like the ideal society wife in her expensive gown. My mother's voice echoed across the room. "Madison, dear." She rushed over wearing a brand new, pricey outfit that I had never seen before. "I'm glad that you realized how much the wedding will cost." Thomas Bennett was across the room observing us, so I feigned a grin. "In fact, Mom, I wanted to talk to everyone about it." Her smile wavered a bit. "Oh, it's not necessary to discuss it tonight." "I insist," I answered firmly. I noticed my father, looking uneasy in his tuxedo, talking with some of the people around the fireplace. He had always detested these social gatherings. I waited until the dining room was filled with people. Seated in the middle of the long table, smiling with joy, were Ethan and Rachel. My brother appeared particularly arrogant, as if he was mentally tallying my funds already. I got up and held a glass of champagne. Regarding the wedding budget, I would want to make an announcement. My mom's face became white. This isn't the moment. Madison. No, Mother. This is the right moment. I took my checkbook out. To offer Ethan and Rachel the wedding of their dreams. You asked me to donate $85. My entire life savings. It was my family obligation. You stated. There was silence in the room. Patricia Bennett's eyebrow went up. And Thomas shuffled uneasily in his chair. When my father eventually raised his head from his plate, his expression was one of bewilderment. I went on to say that after giving this a lot of thought, I've come to the conclusion that family is important, therefore, I'm prepared to equal the Bennett's contribution. Dollar for dollar. The quiet became unbearable. Thomas Bennett cleared his throat. Our contribution is $25. I handed Ethan the check I had written up for that precise amount. That's a fair and equitable contribution. Brother, my mother stuttered, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment and rage. But that's not what we discussed. No, Mom. You talked about stealing all I owned without considering what would happen to me later. That isn't taking place. I looked across to the table. I love my brother and want him to have a lovely wedding. But I refuse to let coercion or shame force me into going bankrupt. Awkward whispers sounded around the gathering. Thomas was unable to look anyone in the eye. And Patricia Bennett was observing my mother with renewed curiosity. It was the first time I had ever seen my father grin at one of these gatherings. Well, Madison, I think that's a very generous contribution. Patricia responded with ease. Shall we now talk about the seating arrangements? However, my mother was far from finished. How dare you embarrass me like this? She yelled in my ear, gripping my arm as the topic of conversation shifted. Are you following everything that I have done for you? Believe me, Mom, this isn't the kind of embarrassment you need to worry about at this wedding. I murmured back, meeting her gaze directly. A flurry of wedding planning and barely disguised tensions characterized the week after the engagement dinner. Thomas Bennett appeared to be staying away from all family get-togethers. And my mother had gone from guilt-tripping to downright animosity. Unexpectedly, my father had begun to focus more on the dynamics of the family. Maybe at last recognizing the odd undercurrents. I was at the final dress fitting with Patricia Bennett, Rachel, and my mother when everything went awry. The private salon of the bridal store was replete with mirrors that appeared to reflect not just our photos but also all of our secrets. I need to ask you something, Madison said abruptly, catching me by myself while the others worked on Rachel's veil. Her well-groomed fists clenched uneasily. Have you noticed any unusual behavior with Thomas and your mother recently? My heart stopped beating. What are you saying? The secret gatherings to discuss wedding plans and the late-night phone conversations. Madison, I'm not blind. Patricia spoke steadily, but her eyes showed how hurt she was. I discovered hotel invoices. Despite Thomas's assertion that these are business expenses, my mother interrupted me before I could reply. Rachel needs your thoughts on the headpiece. Madison, sweetheart, I noticed Patricia's face in the mirror as I was leaving, and it was filled with hurt and distrust. I guess my mom noticed too. Since she cornered me in the bathroom of the store, she cautioned, don't do anything you're considering at this wedding. For Ethan, you'll wreck everything. I said softly, you mean I'll ruin everything for you? Does Dad have any suspicions? Her expression stiffened. I'm finally getting the respect I deserve from your father. His recent attentiveness is likely a result of his remorse over years of neglect. You have no right to take this away from me. Remove what? Is it the image of your ideal mother or your relationship with her? She gave me a smack. The marble walls reflected the music. Little, you're ungrateful. Rachel entered through the open door, pausing at the sight in front of her. My mother's expression instantly changed to a smile. Rachel's expression indicated that she didn't trust her when she added, just a little mother-daughter disagreement about the seating chart. My mother turned to me after she had departed. What's actually happening, Madison? Your mom has been difficult to deal with. Your dad has been acting strangely. And now this? I gazed at this young lady, who was set to wed my brother and become a part of our network of deceit and falsehoods. Was it my job to give her the truth, even if she deserved to know it? I started, Rachel, but she interrupted me and, hold on, before you speak. She handed me a text message that her father had sent to my mother after taking out her phone. My blood froze. It was more recent than the ones I had seen. The note said, "I can't go through with this wedding. I'm dying of guilt. Robert has been posing questions. And Patricia has suspicions. We must put an end to this." Rachel's hands trembled. "Last night, I discovered this on Dad's iPad. Tell me it's not what I believe it to be. Please." I made my decision after observing her heartbroken face in the mirror. "You must know something about our parents. Rachel." In the toilet of that wedding store. I told Rachel everything, the texts I had found, the covert meetings, the manipulations. I saw her wedding fantasies disintegrate in the mirror's image with every word. After I was done, we both sat quietly on the velvet ottoman, taking in the weight of everything. Finally, Rachel whispered, "I can't believe this. Your mother and my father are the ones in question. And now that they may be caught, they want to stop it?" Her ivory silk robe crumpled as her hands balled into fists. I had assumed that the wedding and the prospect of starting a new family were the only reasons for Dad's excitement. Rather, he was fabricating my joy as an excuse. "I apologize, I wasn't sure if I should tell you." "Rachel." "No," she interrupted me with a sharper voice. "I'm happy you did. I believe my mother has the right to know. This also applies to your father." However, she hesitated, a resolute expression on her face. "Not quite yet. I disagree with this approach." I arched an eyebrow. "What are you saying?" With shaking hands, Rachel smoothed her robe as she stood up. 3 days remain till the wedding. There will be everyone we know. They will include our friends, family, and business partners. Let's use my wedding as a cover story if that's what they want to do. Let's ensure that everyone is aware of their true character." Her words made my heart race. "Are you certain? Everything would be different because of this." Ethan," Rachel forcefully stated. "Ethan needs to know what kind of mother he's been defending all these years." "What about my mother? She has been cultivating my father's social standing for 25 years. While she was unable to complete the phrase. My mother's voice came through the door at that same moment. "Women? Is everything in there okay? Patricia is starting to worry." Rachel and I looked at each other. She opened the door and straightened her shoulders. I was frightened by her charming grin as she added, "Everything's fine." Madison was assisting me with a few last-minute wedding touches. My mother's brows widened with suspicion. But Patricia came up behind her before she could react. "Thomas just called," she said in a strained voice. "He claims that he must talk about some pressing adjustments to the wedding plans. He asked if you might come." "Deborah." I closely observed my mother's expression. She briefly displayed signs of terror before gathering herself. "Naturally," she said with ease. She said, "For the wedding, anything is possible." Rachel took hold of my arm as they left. "Most likely, they're getting together to talk about how to keep their secret during the wedding. They don't know what's going on. Do you have complete confidence in this?" It was my final question. "There is no turning back once we take this action. Our family will never be the same." In the mirror, Rachel's gaze locked with me. "We didn't do this, they did. Are they the ones that fabricated a story about my wedding?" "In addition," she said grimly, "I think it's time both of our mothers realized that it's not just them who can organize the ideal social event." I experienced an odd mixture of eagerness and anxiety as we reconnected with the others in the salon. In 3 days, my mother's impeccable facade would crumble. Both families would learn the truth